Today's episode is brought to you by DNA Sports Training. If you or someone you know wants to take their game to the next level, then hit up DNA Sports Training. Visit DNASportsDenver.com right now to book a training session. We offer training sessions in football, track and field, and everything else in between. Whether you're an offensive or defensive lineman wanting to get off the ball quicker, or you're an athlete wanting to improve their overall speed and agility, we have something for you over at DNA. Visit DNASportsDenver.com right now and sign up. Yeah.
Yeah. What up? How's it going?
Vibing, bro. How you doing?
Back for another one. I'm good.
Yet another one.
It's another victorious fantasy football week, it looks like, for your boy, Hemi Hendrix, Timothy Tebow, Hemi Neutron.
Let me find out someone's Hemi jocking you.
Hey, they are. Trying to clean. How's it going?
I can't say nothing too much, but I'll just say this. If you're not him, you're not him.
That's right.
And you're not him, Dom. So
No, I'm him.
if you were him, there wouldn't be folks swagger jacking you, so to speak.
What do you mean? Everybody's always trying to be.
Everyone's trying to be him. But they're not trying to be you, though, Pimpin.
No, they are.
They ain't trying to be you, though.
No,
I like that hat, though.
it is him.
It's a nice nugget hat you got on there.
How you doing today, bro? I asked you like 3 times.
Man, how do you think I'm doing? I'm doing fantastic,
You know
man.
another true identifier of when you're usually him?
How's that?
Haters, quite like yourself. I asked you how you were doing 3 times today, but you were steadily focused on trying to tell me what I wasn't.
All I'm
instead
doing
of how
over
you
here.
were.
All I'm doing
See
over
how
here.
that works? That's
all
a
I'm
little-
doing over
that's a
here
little
is feeding
crazy.
into your ego, and I'm a hater.
Nah,
I'm a hater.
you're the one who started.
You know what, bro? I'm doing fantastic, bro.
That's great.
I'm happy. It's been very productive week already, and here with you, man.
And it's
Get to hang out
barely-
with you.
It's barely starting too, so that's
I mean-
a good thing. Being productive early in the week.
I'm a little behind the scenes. I'm still working on some shit that I thought would be off my plate last week, but we working on a big deal and trying to make sure everything's right and all the numbers are right. So it's still on my plate, but I think we got a good shot at it.
Hey, might as well take your time and get it right, then rush it and get it wrong, right?
Hey, it's one of those things, man, where sometimes you make a bid at something and maybe your bid is, they ain't liking your bid too much, and then you're able to get that. Hey, can you adjust this? And you figure out a way to make it happen. And that's where we're at, man. So no, it's been a good week, bro. It's just, work is work and fun is fun. It's weird not having practice and being able to go home and be with my family,
Yeah,
It's weird.
You enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, I miss the season always. Like right when it finishes, I always miss the season. Rocking with us today, as you can see.
Yeah.
But no, I'm enjoying it, dude. I love any extra little time to get with the fam, especially like when you don't have to do anything. You guys can just kind of kick it. It's nice.
You actually had those days since we've been off? Because I've been like nonstop go.
Like Saturday and Sunday. Well, and even like Saturdays and Sundays, like even those they're spoken for. But there's moments in time where, like getting off. I get off work and then we go get Malachi from his little school, and then by the time we get back home, we get like at least a good hour, chill for a second, catch a breath. But my kids aren't in wrestling and everything else, volleyball and shit neither though. So I still got, with the little guys, I still got some time. I'm always doing something with like picking up Dono, or he's got his own thing he's doing, work and all that stuff. But and by the way, shout out, happy birthday to Dono.
Today?
18 the 17th.
Nice.
By the time
nice.
this comes out, though.
Happy birthday.
Yes, sir. I got another adult on my hands. So, it's I get a lot of funny looks, bro. And I tell folks I got now 2 adult kids and 2 babies, but
Why is that?
They're like, oh, you started over. I'm like,
They're like, did you go to prison? Why'd you take such big of a break?
It's like I went and did a 15 and came out and had some kids.
Bro, I think that's dope actually, because like you had, you know, the both little times of being a father, like during the real young ages, you know what I'm saying? And then they grew up, and then you got to do it all over again. The only thing is like, it was like so soon to where like Donald was barely turning 18 and you already have the youngins, you know what I mean? So like, you're gonna get a break between the 18 to baby stage.
Nah, I mean I had a little break, but like, you know, I don't know, dude. Like it's different because like I felt like I would, you know, I was on my toes in certain situations with my older kids when they was little, and these little fuckers, the younger ones now, they got me, boy. They figured it out. You know, Pops might have lost a step or two.
Nah, you're getting soft, bro. That's what it is. You guys are already talking about another?
No, hell no. Fuck no, dude. I'm done, dog. Like, I threw the white talent on that one right there.
I feel you.
Nah, man, I'm good. Like, and I always joke, you know, we always joke around, and like Zion, which is my youngest, I always joke around and say he's the only one I planned. Because like, after we had Malachi, that's when we talked and was like, yo, you know, I don't know. He could have grew up just, you know, he has his older brothers, you know, his older sister and shit. Like, you know, but like, it was one of those things where it's like, all right, wow, we can have one more to be like right around the same age. They can grow up together. And we decided to do that. And so that's why I always say Zai's the only one I've ever planned. Malachi, I hit 5-hole, bro, just like a hockey player, you know? right in between the legs, bro. Both literally and figuratively. Nah, dude, but you know, I love them though, bro. I love all my kids, dude, and I'm thankful for them. They all teach me something different, so I get to learn how to be a different kind of father every which way.
Ain't that the truth, bro? It's just, and it's like something different every day. It seems like, honestly, like.
And I want to have some, you know, we'll see 2 and 3 right now. So in about 6 years, be able to throw them on a goddamn team and get them playing. You know? That's right. The Wolfpack lives on forever, bro.
I know.
For life.
We're screwed for a while.
Nah, you know.
Before you, oh no,
I coached AJ. So I coached AJ and I coached Dono.
How does AJ?
AJ's 22. Or 22. He just turned 22. I coached both of them. And I enjoy coaching AJ and I enjoy coaching Dono. But I don't know how y'all do it sometimes, man. You and Trav, bro. Like, it could be hard sometimes, man. Like, you know, because I know your kids listen to me better than they listen to you on the football field. Like, DJ listens to what I say. AJ listens to what I say. You know, Travis and AJ. They listen to what I say on the football field. And so that shit used to frustrate me when I tell Donald something and like one of the other coaches tell him and he'd listen.
Yeah.
But Donald's always been like my stubborn bull. That fool, like I tell him do some shit and he's like, no.
Yeah, that's because when you're a kid of a coach, you're constantly getting coached.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even right now, like if we're just sitting here talking about football, like, and there was an opportunity to coach DJ, I'd call him in here and coach him up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at this. Or look
Ride
at that.
home and shit. You're coaching them up.
And so it gets old after a while. You know what I mean? And you got to find the balance of not doing that too much because you don't want to overconsume them with the sport. And then some kids, you know, fall out of love with it. So
if DJ didn't want to play football, would you be like, all right, cool?
Oh, I'd be cool with it. He told me the other day, he's like, Dad, what if I would have played football instead? And I said, then we'd be soccer fans, bro. Like we'd be a soccer family. If you were just into soccer, then we'd do soccer. Like I love football. He's like, I think it's so cool that I love football too, like you. Like, and bro, he dies for football. Like if he had a choice to go year round football, he would do it.
See, my son AJ never had any issues with playing sports. Like he wanted to play every single sport he can play. I think he played his favorite was baseball, and then football was right after it. His favorite was baseball though, and I remember but he used to play every fucking sport, dude. He would fucking play lacrosse. But with Donovan, you know, and a lot of it has to do with what he went through. But a lot of it, like he didn't really want to. Even before he got sick and all that, like he was playing t-ball, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm out here.
Yeah,
like
no interest.
You guys got me out here." Like, And so, but he's always been
How
one
long are
with
we going to
like,
be doing this for? You really want to do this another
for
year?
real, bro.
Like by my calculations, you've already wasted.
But like
That'd be
he was good
hilarious.
with the music though, bro. Like he taught himself how to play the Office theme song on the piano. Like he
Yeah.
taught himself how to play a few things on the piano. So he was always, I don't know, he's always been like a different thinker. So I wonder with my young guys, with Zai and Kai, I wonder how they're gonna think and how they're gonna, they're gonna be, whether they're gonna like athletics and shit. Because I love to coach them. I love to coach them in anything they do. You know what I mean? But just I also not gonna push something on them either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they're
see-
gonna do something. Like they're gonna be involved with something. But because I
See-
think extracurriculars are important. But
And for me, like DJ loves football and I coach football, so it just works out that I coach him.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And he doesn't want to play for anybody other than me. Like neither one of my kids really enjoy playing for coaches who don't coach, regardless of what the sport is. Like
yeah.
there's still certain things you do when you're a coach. You know what I'm saying?
They got the desires to be
Yeah,
taught.
like like preparation and planning. Like I do a lot of that. So if there's coaches out there who don't live up to like the standard of my type of preparation, then my kids don't enjoy playing for them because then they get to practice and they're like, well, we did nothing. You know what I mean? Like we didn't get no work because we ran around and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and so
like you talk about like it being on a team where the coach isn't actively like checking them to do things the right way.
or
They
really
get
teaching
frustrated
them,
with
they're
that.
just running around playing a
Yeah.
game of pickup basketball,
AJ
or
used to
just
hate
throwing the
that
ball.
shit,
You know what I
dude.
mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no rhyme or reason to
Yep.
anything, so they hate it. But I would enjoy being able to watch it. Like for now, for DJ, like wrestling is awesome because he has coaches who are really good coaches. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And same with Jada in volleyball. She had a really good volleyball coach. So those are sports that I didn't have to coach. They didn't beg me to coach their teams. You know what I mean? Like so.
Something to be said about being able to watch your kid
Oh,
instead of
bro,
coaching
it's
them,
such a
dude.
blessing to be able to sit back and just be a fan.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And not have to be the one coaching because, you miss out on a lot of those moments of really watching your kids. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for
so
sure.
I think it goes both ways. Like, you want to be the one who's teaching them the game, especially if you know it because you want them to learn it right. But then you also want to just experience that as a fan.
Well, and then like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes like you got like DJ. I haven't worked with Jada. Like, she's a good kid, but I haven't like worked with her as far as like being a coach of hers. Like DJ's very coachable. Like he's gonna do what you ask him to do, when you ask him to do it. There's a couple of times where if he's tired, like maybe you have to tell him twice or, right, urge him on a little bit, right? But he always, for me, he always does what I ask him to do, and does a good job about getting others to do the same thing. With some kids, it's hard to get out of them, and so to be able to have someone that's already does that, it might make it a little bit easier for you, it being your kid. But at other times, though, again, like I go back to sometimes they don't listen to your voice the same way, and it's funny. Trav always is like, "Get your kid out." I'm like, hush. And when his son AJ is acting crazy, well, that's your kid, bud. But it's true though, because I can think back like a lot of situations I've been in with coach and coach's son. Sometimes it takes an extra other voice.
Yeah, and you have to have experience in that, right? So like you really don't want to have a dad coaching his son's position primarily, really, typically. Like you kind of want to have him coaching different positions, maybe having another coach being more of the guy who is actually doing the one-on-one coaching with that kid instead of the parent. So that way it doesn't go either way. You know what I mean? And in the sense of maybe leaning a little bit in the favor of their kid or holding their kid to a higher standard than other kids, because I think sometimes I can be guilty of saying, DJ, you need to do this and do that, but then I'll watch another kid do the same exact thing and you know what I mean? I won't go as hard on them as when I critique them. I'll just be like, hey, you should have did this. Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so there is a
hold
slight
them all to the
difference. So
same
you really
standard.
got to be cautious of that and be aware of it.
Yeah.
If you're self-aware of it, then it's easier to manage. And then you could also just put, others around you who kind of help out and assist with that. So,
Well, I think already and I don't know how you feel, but as a dad coaching, like sometimes you already you're aware of like I used to always try to be aware of not doing that, like not giving somebody else's kid not enough attention and my kid too much attention, and at the same time ripping my son's ass the same way I ripped other kids. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want there to feel like one that I was being too mean to my kid, but also not giving their kids the same coaching that I'm giving my kid, and that's important too. And everyone deserves the same amount of coaching. Sometimes you got to put more coaching into one kid than another, but everyone has that opportunity to get the same coaching.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? Before we move on from kids, because I had something to say to you, and then we jumped on to coaching kids. And shit.
Okay.
We were talking about your gap of. I just want to throw something crazy out there. Not putting nothing in the worlds or
Dog,
nothing,
don't you do it.
but like you're close to like grandpappy age too, dog.
Yo, I got a story I'll share with you
24.
offhand, but off record. But nah, man, don't say shit like that.
I know, but knock
say
on
shit like
wood.
that.
But I'm just saying, like,
Where my kids are older than my grandkids. Like,
you know what? Real talk. I used to go to school with like a couple of aunties and nephews.
Yep,
and
yep, me
uncles,
too.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and then,
I had a homie whose auntie was in the same grade as him, and she was cool. And I used to always talk shit to him, like, I'm gonna get your auntie food. And but yeah, no, that there could have been situations, goddamn Matrix in here, you know what I mean? But nah, that's not something I think about, Dom. But thank you for put it in my brain.
so which kid out of all four of your kids do you love the most? Hotspot.
Hotspot. Which kid do I love the most? I don't love any of my kids, bro.
No, I like what Dion says. You hear that? He's like, I love each of you a little bit more in different ways.
That's cool. I think I don't know that I love any one of my kids anymore.
Because it is
than the
kind of
other.
cliche to be like, oh, I don't love any of my kids any more than the other, right?
Yeah,
Because you do have like certain moments, right? Like,
well, and I think you love your kids differently.
because like for me, like we've been through different scenarios with
Yeah.
DJ when he was a baby that were pretty scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a different kind of bond there with him. But Jada was my first, and that was the first bond. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like,
no,
there's
absolutely.
two different things. And like during football season, Jada who?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm just playing. But during basketball, like
No, I feel
who's
you.
DJ? Like
It
who's playing?
I feel what you're saying with that, because like, with Donovan going through what he went through, I had a different kind of bond with him, but then I also had a different kind of bond with AJ. And AJ, dude, like AJ's, me and him have had a different kind of love and experience, and like, I think you can love your kids differently, and I think there's nothing wrong with that as long as you love your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's necessarily on terms of volume. Like, I love this one more than this
Attributes.
one. But yeah, dude, just different things about my kids, man. Like, I love the fact that Zai will give me a hug every time I come in. Like, he'll just come run up and give me a hug and scream at me and point at me and stuff. And Malachi, dude, I love that little look he gets. And, I love like just how stubborn he is, because it reminds me of me. But, you love your kids differently, bro. And like, I wouldn't say I love one more than the other, but, Christmas is coming up, so we'll see which one loves me more.
None of them. They ain't getting you nothing. You're getting that lump of coal.
I'm a giver, not a receiver, brother.
Jeez. Why'd you look at me after you said that, bro? That was a little weird, bro.
How was that weird? I said I'm a giver. I'm not a receiver.
What you got for me?
What I got for you?
Yeah.
I ain't got shit for you, lump of coal,
You just said you're a
motherfucker.
giver, bro.
Lump of coal, motherfucker. Yo,
Come
so
on, see how this
so
works?
football season's rolling. Now we go back and look back to April, look back to the draft, and who is your offensive and defensive rookies of the year so far?
Honestly, for the offensive side of the ball, I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
How are you torn?
Why am I?
Yeah, how are you torn?
Because there's two people that I think are standing out to me.
Who?
Wow.
It's not Bebop.
What do you mean it's not Bebop?
It's not Bebop.
No, I think, honestly, for me, it's a little biased, but I'm probably go CJ Stroud.
Why is that biased? Oh, because you're an Ohio State fan?
Yeah, and I just think I wanted to draft him, so I've been kind of a fan of him.
Oh yeah,
so,
you was talking about the Raiders drafting
so
him.
maybe like
Sucks, but not
maybe I'm
sucked
just
enough.
like secretly just hoping that he does good, but he's been balling. So
Offensively, I would have to agree. The only other person that has a claim is Puka Nuka, or Jordan Addison.
yeah,
Offensively, and I think they're both dependent positions. Like I think what Jordan Addison's done in Minnesota has been dope because being without what's his face 18. What can't I think of his name right now?
Justin Jefferson.
Yes, Double J. Being without him, that changed a lot in terms of like what you can do and what you can't do. And Jordan Addison kind of stepped up and provided a little more spark, a little bit more of what you had with Justin Jefferson in the meantime. So I think that shouldn't go overlooked. But I think C.J. Stroud plays the toughest position in professional football, and he does it. He's done it real well. And these last few weeks, he's been record setting. So I would have to say, yeah, C.J. Stroud for my offensive rookie. Defensive rookie, man, I go to the trenches, and I think Jalen Carter has had a big impact. He's a monster on that defense. He takes what was already a good unit and made it better. And you can't watch an Eagles game and not hear his name called for impacting the game somehow. And as a young guy with all the stuff that he had going into the draft, him falling in the draft, all the with the hit and run stuff that went on, and I think it's remarkable how far he's come so far this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He is probably a difference maker. One of the most impactful difference makers this year out of the rookie class. But I think defensively, I'm going to stay in Houston, and I'm probably going to go with Will Anderson. Is that me? Will Anderson Jr. I think what he's done with the Texans has been pretty great, and I think that team is slowly but surely starting to turn around a little bit.
It's kind of scary to look at.
I think the Texans are starting to figure it out. They're building a roster, and I think they're going to be something to deal with. Another guy that I kind of wanted in the draft and didn't end up with, he ended up in Seattle, but Devin Witherspoon, excuse me, from Illinois, he's been balling as well. So, I think there's a lot of good players, but those guys are the ones that stand out for me.
Side note, what about Pete Carroll and Seattle and their ability to draft defensive backs and find guys in the draft that, other people ain't trying to pick up and, end up having so far remarkable careers. I mean, this is the second year in a row they've done it now with Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah.
They always find guys, it seems like, out there.
Yeah, who's been kind of the most disappointing?
Who's that?
Tyree Wilson. For me, defensively, for Vegas, we got him, and he was hurt, so granted, he's coming off of an injury, but he just hasn't been what we expected him to be.
What do you think, what do you think about, how do you feel like it affects rookies and athletes coming into the NFL or the NBA to have dysfunction within the organization or within the coaching staff? Like how much do you think that affects things? Like I'm not trying to build an excuse for him. I'm just curious, because it sounds like there was a lot of dysfunction within the Raiders coaching staff and the organization, and just when you're losing, it just gets worse.
Well, I think that kind of environment plays a part on any player, let alone a rookie.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it wasn't that. It was just the physical ability that I've been disappointed in. Like the intangibles that we've drafted him for, it's not translating to the field yet. But like I said, he's coming off of an injury, and so hopefully, slowly but surely, he gets back to that point of what he had in college. But so far, we just haven't been able to see that same strength and explosive. Tyree Wilson.
I mentioned C.J. Stroud. You mentioned him being offensive rookie of the year. There's one player I think right now that is coming on strong. And I think this player is stupid. I think this player can overtake perhaps that rookie of the year spot on offense. Just a thought. But Jahmyr Gibbs has been coming on strong these last 3 weeks. What do you think? Do you think a running back can go ahead and take that rookie of the year spot away from a quarterback? It seems like the quarterbacks are like, it seems like a running back can't even be MVP anymore because the quarterback's position kind of sewed that up. But what do you think about that? Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs has a chance to steal that from CJ? Say CJ Stroud just plays average the rest of the year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think CJ's just starting to come into his own. But say he plays average or, high above average, and Jahmyr Gibbs is just completely just a tank and unstoppable. Like, do you think they would give that to him as rookie of the year, being a running back and not a quarterback?
No. I just don't think running backs get the love like that. I think it takes more to be a quarterback. I mean, you said it earlier when you were talking about him. You said he plays the toughest position on the field.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? I just think that, honestly, to be truthful about it, I think running back is like a very unrespected position in the NFL anymore. It's kind of sad. I think if he had like a dominant killer statistical season and Stroud had an average or maybe even a little bit above average season, I think he has an argument based off just watching what both of them were able to accomplish, but I don't think they would give it to him.
Yeah.
I don't think the masses would give it to him.
I think CJ Stroud would have to fall off considerably. Like, maybe just hit that rookie wall or start throwing picks, which he hasn't really done a lot of. He's been actually pretty good about not turning the ball over.
How much do you think demographic plays into some of these awards when they're voting, right? Like, who has a bigger fan base and things like that.
Well, I think marketability, I think market comes into it to play for sure, but not. I don't think as much as it does, like, say, like NBA or MLB.
Or like voting.
Yeah, I think because the NFL is so global, dude. I don't think it's like them other sports where, you kind of can get your area kind of to manipulate the vote, but I think a lot of that stuff's by the writers anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's also like, let's be real. Some of these awards sometimes, especially as you get older in your career, like if you piss off some of these writers, they'll never vote for you anyhow. You know what I mean? But CJ Stroud though, bro, freaking, he's leading the NFL in touchdown interception ratio at 14-1. I mean, ranking third in passing yards per game, and fourth in passer rating at 102.9. He's got stats, dude, that if he keeps playing like this, be in consideration for MVP.
So the last 10 defensive players of the rookies of the year were either defensive backs or pass rushers, including Micah Parsons, who's linebacker.
Fucking everything.
Yeah, everything. He probably plays any position on the field, but pretty much pass rushers or DBs.
Impact players. Those are pass rushers get the sacks, DBs get them interceptions. It's impact positions. They're not going to give it to a guy. When's the last time an inside linebacker won rookie of the year? You might have to go back. Was Ray Lewis a rookie of the year? You might have to go back sometime just to think about it, because those aren't the sexy positions. Them positions, they don't make the sexy plays. You know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of these guys are trying to find is, who makes the sexy plays, who makes the big play when it need, that puts impact on the game. And the quarterbacks do that shit with the big passes. Every now and again you get like an Adrian Peterson who's just electrifying and, can make big runs at the drop of a dime. But it takes a special player at running back to do that. And even more special at wide receiver, because it's such a dependent position on the quarterback.
So it has Micah Parsons as an inside. Oh, I didn't see Darius Leonard on here. Oh, it goes 15 years. So in the past 15 years, it goes edge rushers 5, inside linebackers 4, interior D linemen 3, defensive backs 3.
Oh, so that's not too bad. You made it sound like it was all defensive backs.
It's mostly it was mostly defensive linemen, but you would have talked shit if I would have said that.
Well, it's on defense. It's not offense.
They're never going to still been like, sure it is, Dom.
They're never going to give an offensive lineman a rookie of the year. Let's be real.
Well, because let's be real, what's their contribution?
Fucking, I will stab you right now in your goddamn neck.
I'm only poking at you, bro. But
how dare you?
But the reason why is because we put you guys on skates sometimes, bro, and make you look really bad out there.
And sometimes, dude, we block your ass completely out the play and take advantage of your over aggression. And, you don't score without the offensive line, bro.
That's true.
You don't score without them.
That's true.
You don't cover without, you don't have good coverage without a defensive line. So let me go ahead and do that. See, I'm not like you.
That's also true. No, I'm just only talking shit to you. I respect every other. It's like,
hater, bro. It's all right, dude. It's not you, it's you. You know what I'm saying? So I forgive you.
Keeping it in the football talks a little bit.
Yo.
You had asked a question to me.
I did. I texted you. I remember I was sitting at home, like, just watching football.
You did, and it threw me for a long thinking session that I still haven't even totally made up my mind about. But you posed the question to me, is who are your top 3 to 5 coaches / managers of all times? Why do they get the recognition in your mind? Is what you posed the question.
I did pose that question to you. And
I think we both were on a kind of a different interpretation of the question a little bit. Because I was thinking like all time statistically, and you were thinking just like who in your mind.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily thinking like this needs to be like, the winningest coach ever and this, this, that, or the other. Like, I was just thinking great coaches. Like, we coach, we have fun, we love doing it. I think we would agree for the same reasons of why we do it. I think we get more out of it than these kids get out of it. So, all that in mind, like, I just think of great coaching. And what sprung this on me, bro, partially what sprung this on me was I was watching Tennessee Titans and Pittsburgh Steelers some time back last week. And just got to thinking about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's been in Pittsburgh for a freaking decade and a half. And he's never had a losing season as a head coach. Like, he's had winning seasons and that's better than 500. You know what I mean? What he has at quarterback right now and Kenny Pickett, like, is just not very, very good, And so it got me looking at it and thinking like, yo, like, what's a great coach in my mind? And just, like, if I was going to do like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did back in the day to the Raiders and traded for John Gruden, right? If I was ever going to trade for a coach, that might be the coach that I would trade for. You know what I mean? Just because, dude, he's always got his guys in the mix.
He is. And he brings that energy. Like,
great energy.
I enjoy him because he brings that dog mentality type energy, that kind of raw energy. He's the coach. He's a player's coach.
Yep.
Right? He's a player's coach for sure. When you first posed this question, automatically my mind went to football. Right? And automatically I started thinking Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I started thinking Bill Parcells. I started thinking the Tom Landrys. I started thinking of all these great NFL coaches, and then I reread it and it said coaches, head coaches, or managers.
Yeah.
And so then I start thinking baseball, right? And all the great managers of all these great dynasties in baseball. And, none of that really... I was really confused about what just happened right there. I'm sorry. But anyway, then I went back to the NBA.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 guys in the NBA that I think should absolutely be on this list, hands down. And one of those guys is Phil Jackson. And then the other one is Red, and I always pronounce his name wrong, so help me out here. Auerbach. With the Celtics, bro, they've won so many games as head coaches and been to so many championships, right? Phil Jackson won championships with multiple teams.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to do something like that just shows, like, the value of you as a coach.
Yeah.
Right? And you talk about, like, the emotion and the passion that Tomlin brings. You also see that in a guy like Phil Jackson, but you also see Phil Jackson was able to manage a lot of egos.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the most underrated key to him.
Yeah, like there was a lot of superstars that he had to kind of bring in and kind of get the grasp. What the hell was that? I'm sorry. I just
So
got
Buffalo
distracted.
so we're recording this obviously on Monday night. Buffalo had 12 men on the field on that last field goal attempt that went right. And so the Broncos got a second crack at it, and they win 24-22. But you started mentioning the numbers.
Yeah.
And so on my list, and this is no particular order. I don't even know if this is my 3 to 5. This is the 3 to 5 that came to my mind when I was thinking about this the other day. I had Mike Tomlin, Bill Walsh, Joe Torre, Nick Saban, and Phil Jackson. When I think Bill Walsh, I think about how football changed after he got his hands on offense. The game as we know it today is more resemblance of the game today than it was back in the 70s. And his offense is what kind of started that change. And if you look at the branches off of his tree, his coaching tree, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's modern day football. It's everyone's running these Shanahan type systems, while that comes from that West Coast offense. The stuff that Andy Reid runs comes from that West Coast offense. And the most successful offenses in football today all come from his lineage and his tutelage, and somewhere down the line, his influence. And I thought, wow, like what great coach to change the game. And his numbers don't reflect it. Like he doesn't have Belichick numbers. He doesn't have Don Shula numbers. Another great coach that it's not on a list. Marv Levy, I see you have it up.
I was just about to talk about him because he's a guy who had great teams, right? Really good teams in Buffalo. We're watching Buffalo right now, bro.
Yeah.
And those teams, in my opinion, growing up, are some of the teams that I remember because they had an era where Buffalo was very dominant, but just couldn't get the big game.
Yeah.
Couldn't finish out the season, bro. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't get it done. You had missed field goals. You had all these different historic memories in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they were such a dominant team for so long. So, he's one of the guys that I thought of. I thought of Phil Jackson right away.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought of Belichick, but then I took Belichick out of it because I think about what he did prior to Brady and what he's doing now after Brady.
Dude.
And it's kind of overwhelming to what he cannot do.
You think he feels bad for running Brady out of the town?
Maybe. I'll tell you two guys that I really like, though. Or three guys. Two of them are brothers.
Okay.
Actually, oh man, there's more now. See, I started thinking about more. I like the Harbaugh brothers. I like both Harbaugh brothers.
Okay.
I like both Ryan brothers.
Okay.
I like Rex. Rex, I think, is a great coach.
Great coordinator, defensive coordinator.
He's a great defense coordinator.
Defense that changed the game a little bit too. That Ryan defense from his dad.
He is, and they both brought it to multiple organizations.
Well, and they brought an evolution of it too. It wasn't the old 4-6. It was a little bit of a twist.
Yeah, and I just like their kind of like their mentality. You know what I mean? But who's
Talk about dogs.
Yeah, who's another great coach? Honestly, a great football mind who doesn't get as much credit, and it's because of what he's done more recently than before. Is Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is really slept on for what he's been able to do in his career. I think what he did in Philly was pretty remarkable. You know what I mean? And then coming out here and having good teams with not only Pat Mahomes but with Alex Smith as well.
Well, and I think it's time to stop putting this coach, like you were talking about Marv Levy earlier. There's some people that might keep him out of certain categories because he didn't win a championship.
Exactly.
For the longest, Andy Reid was a bust. Right, the great coach gets you to the playoffs, gets you to the NFC title game, but he can't win it for you. Can't win the big one. Get you to the Super Bowl, but he can't win it for you. And it's amazing what a great quarterback will do for you. But you gotta understand how to use your quarterback. If there's one thing we go back talking about Josh McDaniels when we were talking about the Raiders, right? He knew how to work with Tom Brady. Now, obviously, we can argue that Tom Brady was the big portion of success for all these guys that coordinated offenses for him. But you still got to understand how to put your pride away and let him do that kind of thing and kind of let him lead it and understand where your guys fit in and utilize your guys to the best of their ability to make your team the best they can be. So, it gets hard because some of these guys get clowned for not winning championships, and that's just you mean to tell me Andy Reid's not even if he wouldn't have won one with Pat Mahomes or if all he got was one, he's not a great coach. Like the guy innovated offense for his era and changed offense in his era where everyone's running that or the Shanahan. You know what I mean? Like there's no way you can't say that Andy Reid wasn't a great coach.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think is the most overrated coach of all time?
Nick Saban. I got some beef with Nick because of what he did with the Dolphins. But honestly,
he was on
wasn't
list though, right?
But yeah. But honestly, he wasn't a pro coach. He's better suited as a college football coach, and I think the numbers have proven that. The most overrated though of all time.
Of all time.
Roy Williams, because up until recently he ain't won shit. But Bill Belichick might be a little overrated now.
Like hindsight.
I wonder about Mike Shanahan, and I can't call him overrated because of the his offensive tree's running a lot of NFL right now too, and his offense was hella creative, but he again, if you don't have the players to make it happen, like he had a Hall of Fame quarterback, won 2 Super Bowls, but didn't really win much of anything else after not having a Hall of Fame quarterback no more. Like, how much of that do you put on the coach and how much do you put on that? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say, bro. But overrated, definitely you start to wonder about Belichick. You start to wonder about, Brian Kelly at LSU. Like, that's one I think of right off top. Like, he's a little, he got a lot of love at Notre Dame. Got some good players there. Was pursued and chased and, went to LSU. You can argue Jimbo Fisher now. He got fired.
What do you think? How do you think Steve Kerr will be after Curry and the Warriors kind of dismantle?
How do you feel?
Do you think he'll still be a good coach without them big time players, or do you think? Because I do. I'm a Kerr fan.
Let me ask you a question.
But
Steve Kerr basically led the same team that Mark Jackson did to an NBA championship, whereas Mark Jackson didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Is that maturity in the team, like growth in the team in 1 year, or is that X's and O's and knowing your players and putting them in a better situation? Like that's the one thing that I think. You know what? Like, just because you have a Josh Allen,
mm-hmm.
if you don't know how to use him, what's the point? I used to hear people in Denver all the time argue about the Broncos not picking Josh Allen and taking Bradley Chubb instead. But if you don't have the people in position to put him in the right position, like, what's the point? Like, you might just ruin somebody. Like, I think that's where Belichick gets his a lot of his due is because he had the balls, for lack of a better term, to put Brady in and to stay with him. You know what I mean? But like if Drew Bledsoe doesn't go out there, do we know about Brady? Like, you know what I mean? So at some point,
I think you do.
But we see like he's a 6th rounder, so we see like these low round quarterbacks, bro. Like they're here for a minute and gone. Next thing you know, they're riding back up. Now Brady, Brady's different. I don't know. Like he seemed to have that flair for it early on.
Yeah, and I also think what set Brady apart was his work ethic, right? His understanding of the game, his love and passion for the game also set him apart. Like it was very noticeable even before he got his shot that he was one of the first guys there, last guys to leave, always in the building type of, as a rookie. And that continued. Like, look what he did after he left the Patriots. He still did it. Yes, he was already a savvy veteran at that point, but he still has a body of work outside of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, he does. He just wonders sometimes, bro. Like some of these people, like some of these dudes just never got a shot.
Yeah, like so you're saying like Paxton Lynch,
Nah, I think
Drew
obviously
Lock.
maybe, maybe.
Oh, did you bump your head before you got?
No,
I know
because
what happened.
because
That
then
dude
it goes.
that jumped the
But
fence
listen,
must
listen.
have.
It goes back to who's running the show though too.
Yeah, but
But listen, Drew Lock's best year was it his first year? They had
a losing season.
what was his name? Fuck, I forget the offensive coordinator's name. He's a young dude. He bumped heads with Fangio. They fire him and bring in Pat Shermer. Pat Shermer can't do shit with offense in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So like again, Rich Scangarello, that was the offensive coordinator. Fucking Shanahan Tree worked for Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers. He was brought in to be their offensive coordinator. Fucking they went through all the quarterbacks they did and finally put Drew Lock in, and he had probably his best 5 games of his career.
Yeah.
And then they fired the offensive coordinator. Like fit
But he still didn't
matters.
do nothing.
Fit matters though.
But he didn't fit anywhere.
But I'm saying though, he might have fit in that offense better than he fit in the Pat Shermer offense. And then once you're in that, dude, once the NFL, like that's what I noticed about the league. Like once someone's got like a book out on you, that dude, like that's why I say like if Brady doesn't come in, if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt and Brady doesn't come in, like who's to say that there's not this book on Brady that he'll just be a backup because he doesn't get a shot. Like think about Drew Brees. Think about Drew Brees, bro. Like if wonder if San Diego, instead of just letting him walk because they think he's damaged goods and because they got Phillip Rivers, what if they keep Drew Brees? But he didn't do shit in San Diego.
Yeah, but that's a little bit more.
But he didn't do shit in San Diego. He goes to New Orleans, and all of a sudden New Orleans wins 11 games a year.
Yeah.
And he makes Sean Payton a freaking genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fit.
And Phillip Rivers was more successful in San Diego.
Who's got one of these though?
No, I know, but it just to say like same system,
Yeah.
result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I just think like sometimes it's just different fit. Like it might be the same system, but just a different fit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe this coach has a better ability to get it out of you than this other coach. Goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
yeah.
Yo, man, I want to give a shout out to Cutthroat Barbers and Anglers, 38th and Pearson, Wheat Ridge. AJ the chef leading a team of excellent barbers, providing all the latest cuts in men's hair fashion. The fellas at Cutthroat take the art of barbering to the next level. They've got an open chair for you, so book yourself a service. Shout out to AJ and his team over at Cutthroat Barbers and Anglers. Make sure you go follow them on all their socials. That's Cutthroat Barbers and Anglers, cocutthroat.com. Also open up in the back room. Got the Canyon Fly Shop. Make sure you go see my boy Matt, Travis tying all them sick ass flies. Yo, go check them out, man. Go see all the great deals they got going on over there, and go support local business and I won't say small business because they doing big things, but go support local business. Shout out to Cutthroat Barbers and Anglers. Shout out to Canyon Fly Shop. That's how you do that, boy.
Yeah. What's up, man? What's going on? What's new coming out?
I don't know, man. I've been trying to see Strays for like 6 months. It seems like.
I've been trying to finish Strays for like 6 months.
Yeah, you said we were talking about that before when we were talking about doing this. I was like, man, I want to see that movie Strays, bro. Like, have you seen it yet? And you're like, yeah, but I got to turn it off though because the kids.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad, bro. It's pretty over the top. There's a few movies that are coming out. I think that I want to catch, like that Hunger Games, the new Hunger Games coming out.
Okay.
Like the 17th or something like that. Strays, it's different.
Let me ask you a question.
Ted-esque.
Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
Why is it that you can do anything in an animated movie?
I don't know.
And not in like I think about South Park. I think about
all of them back to Bebe's kids. Remember Bebe's kids?
Yeah. And it's like because they're not real people, you can do anything. You can't cancel a cartoon.
That's weird. Has a cartoon ever got canceled?
I mean, The Simpsons been the longest running cartoon.
And South Park has been on.
And South Park's going on, what, season 27 or 28 or maybe even 30? I don't know.
Shit, maybe older than that. I feel like South Park was around since.
Can I give you some more behind the scenes? More behind the scenes? I did it today.
You did it today?
I did it today.
Oh, see, I thought you were trying not to have no more kids.
No, not that fucker.
Oh.
Dog, I did
that was random.
I did the old person shit, bro.
What?
Where I was just like, we're talking about my brother, we're talking about some friends of ours and their age and shit like that. And I was like, yeah, Mario's like, what, 27, right? Like, I was like, nah, stupid, you're 40. He's 7 years younger than me. I was like, fuck, I'm old. I felt old because like I mistake my brother's age, made him younger and made me feel older. knowing that he's not
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah. You
So,
are pretty old though.
hey, man, whatever. Glasses Malone came out saying some stuff. You were telling me about
Oh
this the other
yeah,
day.
he said that his album right now is better than anybody's out, specifically Drake's. And you know, I have it on. I don't even think I could say I listened to Drake's whole new album because there is some songs from Drake that I just have to kind of skip or drown out a little bit because they're a little bit much. Like, you know what I mean? Compared to our era, they're just not our era
They're different.
music.
They're
You know what I
different.
mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
But Drake is still Drake,
Yeah.
and he makes hits. Glasses is tight, but I don't know if he's quite Drake. I haven't listened to the full album, but I have listened to a few songs, and they're good.
I think I know why he mentioned Drake.
They're not as good.
Was Drake the only one that he mentioned specifically?
Nah, he talked about a few people, but I think he talked about Drake also because they had a little stint together with Young Money, Cash Money.
Would you say that Drake is like the standard bearer right now
He
in the
also
game?
said Drake isn't hip hop.
Well, now that's a different conversation right there. What do you think about? Hold on, skirt. Is Drake hip hop?
I don't know. I think Drake has bars. I mean, because and what he was classifying as hip hop was a little different than the most majority rule of what hip hop seems to be.
Okay.
But I get his understanding of it. Like, I
Was he suggesting Drake's more hip hop?
kind of.
Okay. Because you get people that have that argument about country music.
Yeah, he's more pop. I think Drake, for me, Drake is on that borderline of rap and pop. I don't know if he's hip hop. I don't know if I would ever put Drake in hip hop, even though he has some bars. Like, hip hop to me is a whole different era, whole different type of rap. Like, a newer hip hop ish rapper would be the Kendricks, the J. Cole's, you know what I mean? But Drake is like kind of,
Did you see he's there? They announced the
yeah.
Pepsi Center show or the Ball Arena show
Yeah,
with J. Cole
first
now.
we thought we weren't going to be able to take our tickets, but now we're going to be able to go.
Let's go.
So that'll be tight.
I'm not going, but just saying, let's go. I'm excited for you.
We're going to try to see if we could get some more tickets and take the whole family, but I doubt it. But no, man, I don't know. It's tough with Drake.
I feel you.
He's on that cusp of it.
I feel you.
Because, like, he's not quite Fab, but he has fabulous type bars.
Drake does?
Kind of. Yes. Drake has dropped some bars. Don't do that to Drake.
I'm not doing that to Drake, but like Fab God's bars, bro.
Fab does have bars, but he's kind of a punchline rapper type of dude. A little bit is Drake in my sense.
I just think Drake represents a different bedroom in hip hop, bro. I think he is hip hop. I just think he represents a different.
Marvin's bedroom. You like what I did there? See that you just got to be a professional when things like that happen.
Yeah, but I just think he represents a different part of hip hop, bro. I think he is. He's done a lot for the game. You know, I don't know. Hip hop's different these days, bro.
Who
Like
would you
rap's
classify
different.
as hip hop now? Anybody?
Like, what are you talking about? Like backpack hip hop? Like,
Just hip hop.
oh, there's tons of them. Like, Migos is hip hop. It's a different room. Like, hip hop encompasses more than just rap. That's what people got to stop getting confused. Like, hip hop isn't just rap.
No, I know. Like,
Hip hop encompasses a lot. Hip hop encompasses graffiti art,
B-boy,
entrepreneurialism.
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
breaking.
hip hop incorporates a lot of different things,
It
bro.
does.
And just because
And so
you ever read the gospel
No,
of hip
I
hop?
just looked at you. Yes, I looked at you like, why Migos though? Like,
Well,
because they're
just-
entrepreneurship,
No,
or like, or what would you classify? Why
well,
would you
because
classify them?
they
as
still
hip-hop?
they still go for the culture.
yeah.
They still go for the culture. I would say they're business savvy. You know what I'm saying? They have songs that have bars that are rap songs. I think, rapping is part of it. You know what I mean? Why is anybody hip hop? Now, do they kick knowledge? Yeah, 'cause I've heard songs of them. I've heard Quavo on verses that spit knowledge. You know what I mean? So
do you think who's more hip hop, Drake or Migos? Or do you think Drake is hip hop?
yeah, I do think Drake's hip hop. I just said that. Yeah, I think he is. I just think he's a different room in hip hop. I think
You did say that.
I think hip hop is hip hop. I think it is just in the same
see,
way,
I
just in the
think-
same
I
way,
think
just
once
in
you
the same
start-
way, just in the same way that Taylor Swift early on was country. It might be country pop,
Nah,
but
I
it's
think,
country.
I think once you start to stray into another genre, in the
Bro, let's put it like this.
pop,
Let's put it like
it's
this,
kind
bro. Rap, hip hop wouldn't be what it is today if certain parts of hip hop didn't become popular. And that's all pop music is popular music. But there's
So
there's certain parts of hip hop that become hip hop because
are the Backstreet Boys hip hop?
no, they're R&B.
They're pop.
No, they're pop R&B.
Is Justin Timberlake specifically hip hop
What song are we talking about?
in general? You know what I'm saying? Like this could go
his
into
music,
a whole.
his music, maybe not, but maybe some of the things that he does could be considered hip hop. That's the great thing about hip hop, though. Is hip hop is all encompassing, bro. Hip hop is welcoming of all cultures, creeds, all beliefs. Like, you know what I mean? Like would you say people doing deaf poetry isn't living a form of hip hop?
No, it's absolutely hip hop.
You know what I'm saying? Like, poetry is a form of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like,
Those are more of like the roots and the essence
Yeah,
of what it comes from. I'm talking like more of like, I'm not saying like, is something that they do have some aspect of hip hop in it. I'm saying is the bulk of their genre, would it be classified as hip hop?
I don't think the bulk of the genre would be. No.
Like they would be classified as a pop artist.
Yeah.
Like if you were going through Spotify or
But if I'm talking about are you talking about Drake specifically?
yeah.
No, his is hip hop. His is hip hop.
But would you, if you were putting him in categories, would you put him in hip hop or would you put him?
I would put him in hip hop. Okay. Yeah, I would put him in because even his popular songs, bro, like he's got popular rap songs, he's got popular verses, like he's appeared on R&B songs, but for the most of his work is you know, where are you buying his album at? In the rap section. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like,
And I think again, like I said, Drake has bars. There's a lot of Drake songs that I like. Shit, I'm going to the Drake concert. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
this was just a question that was posed, and then the way he was framing hip hop, and then when I think about like back in the day and like the essence of hip hop and where it comes from, like I do see Drake under that umbrella, but I can also see why some would argue that he's a pop artist.
to
And
me, bro,
it's a stretch, but I can see it.
hip hop is like a big ass dorm complex, bro. And it's like you got all these different people in the dorm complex, right? All these different vibes and shit. And you know what? We're all in the same dorm, but I'm gonna be in my room and just leave me the fuck alone in my room. And I got certain folks from other rooms that come and fuck with me at my room. And you know, that's what goes down over here. Other dorm rooms, they got different folks doing different things, different folks with different strokes or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I think like hip hop has a lot of different avenues, bro, and I think you can be hip hop without living in one of the avenues. But I think you do gotta like be about the culture and be about, you know, and that's what pisses me off about a lot of cats is like they want to throw shit out of hip hop. Like if they're the security
Hip-hop
guards,
police.
yeah.
But if you had to classify somebody current, right, their whole catalog, who would you say is the closest to embodying the full essence of hip hop?
KRS One.
No, currently.
He is currently. What are you talking about? He fucking
I'm
released an
talking
album like last year.
I'm talking like popping currently.
I
I don't
mean-
think KRS is really popping. Like
But that's the problem,
how
though,
many
like-
units is he selling? Like,
Dude.
I'm talking about like a newer artist. That's what I'm saying. This newer generation.
So a new J. Cole.
You would J. Cole over,
Abs-
over Kendrick?
I would put Kendrick in there too, but
I'm saying who would be the top in your opinion?
are you asking me my favorite like current rapper or
No,
like
right.
my
Who do you think fits the essence the most in the current demographic of rappers?
So who's more hip hop?
Who do you think fits that bill a little bit more out of those two? Because it's tough. Because to me, they're like the same almost. But I think
I don't really know. Like that's a hard one because
I lean more towards J. Cole in that because I think you hear a lot of like, and I'm not saying the West Coast isn't hip hop, but you hear a lot of more of the gangster style rap type West Coast.
See, but there you go again though. Are you
I'm
talking
not
about
kicking that out. Did you see it?
No. Are you talking about his style being hip hop? Like is hip hop a style, or are you talking about like who's more like a backpack
saying
rapper?
his
Who's more of
catalog.
like a
His catalog more of the essence of hip hop, like B-boy, graffiti artist, all like
Because like Crooked Eye is a West Coast rapper and he's got bars. You can argue that
yeah, but he's a
he's
different,
hella hip hop.
but does if we put him in a room, do you think majority of people are going to say he's from the West Coast or the East Coast?
If they fucking
If
know,
they didn't
if they
know who he
know
was, if they didn't know who he was,
Based off
do you
his
think
music?
they would guess he was more of a West Coast or East Coast.
based off his music, I'd say he talks about the West Coast, so it's kind of hard to say based off his music. Like
If he
you know where
wasn't
he's
mentioning
from.
where he's from, I'm just saying like you hear.
Are
His
you talking
bars and his
now? You're talking
cadence.
about rap style.
Okay, his rap style.
That's what you're talking about when you say who's more
No,
hip
but I'm
hop.
just saying, like, where would you classify him? Because you could tell a West Coast artist, bro.
Yeah.
And the only reason you can tell he's from there is because you know
But-
him
but-
personally, or he's talking about the West Coast. Other than that, he sounds like he's from the East Coast.
Was Tupac a West Coast artist?
No.
He wasn't, right?
I mean, some parts of the Bay will claim him, but he wasn't.
I mean, because Me Against the World didn't sound like fucking All Eyes on Me.
He wasn't a West Coast artist. He got popular in the West Coast. I think
The West Coast adopted him.
I think the Bay specifically kind of grew Tupac into who he became. And because he originally, when he came to Cali, one of his first shots was in the Bay with Digital Underground.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know what I mean? So that's where he started to get his sound first, with his little, his down by the underground.
Yeah.
And his little cadence, and then he started to, he started baking back being boo, and then and then that's when you got hit him up. You know what I mean? So I think he's very West Coast influenced, but he's an East Coast rapper. It's weird, but
Isn't that wild?
It's true though, right? Like,
Isn't that wild though?
he doesn't sound like an East Coast. I mean, I guess he kind of sounds.
So
like,
now we're going back to style. See,
no, because there is a style.
I know.
You
I
can
know
hear
what you're
it.
saying. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like I get what you're saying. I just don't. I think you're calling someone with a specific style hip hop,
No,
and I think that's just a misplay on words right there. Because I don't think like a certain style is hip hop. I think
Nah,
various
but-
styles are
but
hip hop.
you know as well as I know, like there's a
Like
lot
that
of,
boom bap, like
There's
that.
a lot of rappers, right, that would call themselves hip hop. That real hip hop heads would be like, that's not really hip hop, bro.
Yeah, I
Like-
get. Yeah,
Like I get what you're saying, but like there's all rap isn't hip hop. Like all rap isn't hip hop.
technically speaking, it is though.
Technically, but it's not.
You're a dickhead, bro. We're gonna have this argument forever. Yo, I want to get to something real quick, bro.
is
And
that?
we can have that argument forever. We can go on for probably another hour arguing the same point. But I want to get to something that we talked about before. You talked about it a lot, and it's a segment I want to add to our show here. And eventually, it's something that we've talked about wanting to expand and do something bigger with. But you always say the words, "Don't just go through it, grow through it." And so I thought right now would be a perfect time to introduce the Grow Through It with Coach Dom segment.
Okay.
All right. In this segment, this is where Coach keeps it real, keeps it 100, deal with some of the tough questions head on, that go on not only as a coach, but as an athlete, potential athletes, and just sometimes in life, right? So I wanted to do this. I know you've been talking about it, and so I was like, yo, we got to put the segment on. And so I got a question for you. What are some of the things that you find as unnecessary trials or unnecessary trouble, so to speak, when it comes to young athletes growing up today?
I think the most overwhelming thing is financial hardships. I think a lot of young kids are faced with the situation with the consistent rise in cost of everything, right? It becomes harder and harder for some families to be able to afford to have their kids playing sports because sports are becoming more and more expensive. And so kids are forced to other avenues of finding time to, utilize their time with, and they're not involved in sports. And, idle time is the devil's playground.
That is.
So, a lot of kids who are, not able to play sports sometimes just get caught up in the wrong crowds. And I understand that inflation is real and everything is going up. But, us, I would call veterans in the game or vessels, right, to help guide these kids through any kind of extracurricular activities or sports what you call it, need to figure out better ways to try to reduce the cost of sports and some of these things so that way that's never a factor because every kid should be able to not have to worry about going to practice with, you know, different cleats on or not no cleats because they can't afford them or, you know, having to not be able to play or because they can't afford it and then you know their friends at school say why aren't you on the team and that kid has to make up reasons and lies of why they don't play.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's our job to try to, you know, figure out ways to get creative and reach out to local businesses and make sure that businesses are in place and seeing the same thing that we do and the importance in keeping kids active and off the streets. And we start to reduce the costs or give sponsorships or do whatever we can in the power to make every kid have the opportunity to do something. Because without that opportunity, you know, I think that puts kids in a tough situation to have to deal with, and it's a situation that they have no control over.
Yeah.
You know, they can't at a young age they can't really control their financial situation without going out and trying to get a job at a certain age when they're in high school. But at that time, then you're consumed with work. How are you going to juggle being an athlete and helping pay bills, right? We've coached many kids at the high school level who, you know, had those type of situations to where their attendance wasn't great. So they weren't like really relied on players. They were just
Yeah.
kind of role players on our team because their main priority and responsibility was helping
To their family.
to their family, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which we understood, but that's tough to see a kid put through.
It's tough to see a high school kid have to have that responsibility on their back. You always want your kids to grow up and kind of be kids.
Yeah,
have
you
an
should
opportunity.
never put a kid in that situation. A kid should never have to tell their parent, you know what, I don't want to play sports this year so that way you can pay that bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not for a kid to have to deal with. So I think those are some of the unfortunate things that, you know, kids are put in a situation to understand at least, not necessarily resolve,
Right.
but they're forced to have to deal with and have to understand in order to, you know, grow up in
That's
this
right.
world. It's kind of tough, but you know,
Well, listen, it's all up to us not to just go through it, to grow through it.
Exactly.
And that means we got to step up to the plate and, you know, do our work. And if that means getting companies to donate to help make it happen, that's what we have to do, finding individuals. And we're blessed with a lot of people around us, a lot of companies around us that, you know, you running the league, running the Wolfpack, you know, finding companies to sponsor players, sponsor teams, sponsor activities. I know it's not easy work, man, and that's why I gave you your kudos the last time we got together because you know it truly requires a whole tribe, a whole community to make things happen. And when you get an active community, go back to what we saw last week with the North game. When we see, you know, the community come out and support, like that's how you get movements, man. That's how you make things happen, and that's how you start to have things happen in the neighborhood where things start to get better. And if you're if the neighborhood's going bad, like you got to get everyone involved to make it right. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing we're doing here, man. So big ups to that. Appreciate your thoughts on that, bro.
yeah, for sure. And you know, you're exactly right. There are a lot of great companies out there who do it. You know what I mean? And we were fortunate enough to be able to run across a lot of companies who helped us out. I mean, we had over, I think, like 9 or 10 sponsorships this year, and we were able to give away some scholarships, just our normal amount of scholarships that we would give out as our organization. So, like, we were able to help a lot of athletes play sports this year. So that was a great thing. One of the proudest accomplishments for this year for me, honestly, was to be able to do that. If I was able to get every kid paid for, that would be my end goal.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Right, trying to get every single kid that registers to play for the Wolfpack completely free. But it is hard to do that. You know, it everything does cost. You know, you have to pay for fields, you have to pay for officials, you have to pay for all these different aspects, you know, that most people don't think about. When it gets dark out, you have
Yeah.
to pay for lighting, you know what I mean? That's additional cost on top of the fields, you know, and then equipment that kids need and making sure that that equipment is up to date and things like that. And yes, the families are tasked with some of this stuff, but the more you can relieve off the families, again,
Well, and
leaves
everyone's
off
trying to
this
feed their kids
financial
and feed their
hardship.
family as it is. It's hard enough, man. So yeah, I definitely agree. Well done, bro. Hey, I appreciate that. Listen, if you guys got something that you want to throw at Coach Dom for this segment, don't just go through it, but go through, or don't just go through it, but grow through it. Sorry, if there's something that you think that we can help grow through, hit us up, DNASportsDenver.com/ask DNA. But, you know, we're talking about great companies and great people that hook us up.
Yes, sir.
It's about that time, man. We got to give them shout outs.
That's for sure.
So let's go ahead and do it.
Let's go ahead and give out a shout out to Inkless Lasers, Icon Sales and Boxing, Anytime Flood Restoration, the Play Harder podcast with my boy Zach G, Rebel Promotions, Black Sevens, Genesis Catering, Lash All Beauty, Cutthroats, Barbers and Anglers, the Canyon Fly Shop, and the Colorado Wolfpack. We can't forget about them. I also want to give a special shout out to anybody and everybody who either volunteers their time or, you know, volunteers in some capacity to help any young athlete or kid, you know, utilize their mind or their skills in some extracurricular or sports to stay out of trouble, because we have to continue to help our youth stay focused and keep their minds on the right path, because it's hard in a world that's so corrupt.
Yo, big ups to anybody that gives their time to see the community right, to see these young people right. Yo, big ups to you, bro.
Right on YouTube, brother.
Happy to do this again.
Yeah, you know, I know we go back and forth, but people got to understand it's almost like one of those very, very tenured marriages. You know, sometimes where you're always arguing, but you truly, truly love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how it goes, bro.
We're just gluttons for pain. That's what it is.
You know what I mean? Like, you gotta love that.
Nah, man, it's all love, bro. You know it is, and I know it is with you. So, big ups to you, man. Hey, again, DNASportsDenver.com. Make sure you guys go book a session. Yo, let's get it popping. Let's get it popping.
Comment, subscribe, check out all of our socials. Make sure you go out to the Playmakers Corner and vote for Frankie Dardano to win the Offensive Player of the Year. Kid killed it all year, broke records, led his team to the playoffs, and now he needs your vote because he deserves it. And he did all that in the span of 3 years. All right, he should have been a 4-year starter, but he only started for 3.
Damn.
And he did that. So I don't think any of those other kids can say that. They may, but I'm just saying that kid is definitely deserving of a vote.
Donovan, happy birthday. We're out of here.
Dono.
We're out this mug. Peace.